Have you ever looked up at a vast, empty sky and felt a sense of both awe and unease? Now imagine you're on the Great Plains, hundreds of years ago. The horizon stretches endlessly in every direction, and the sky above is a massive, overwhelming dome. Suddenly, a shadow falls over the land, but it's not from a cloud. It's moving impossibly fast, and it's enormous. So large, in fact, that it blots out the sun for a moment as it passes. This isn't just a story. For many Plains tribes, this was a very real and powerful experience. This was the shadow of the Thunderbird. Today, we dive in deep into the heart of the American Plains to explore one of its most powerful and enduring legends, the Thunderbird. What was it about this massive, open landscape that gave birth to such a magnificent and fearsome creature in the minds and hearts of its people? Let's set the scene. The Great Plains are a land of extremes. Blazing hot summers, brutally cold winters, and weather that can turn on a dime. One moment it's calm and sunny. The next, the sky turns a menacing shade of green-gray, and a supercell thunderstorm is bearing down on you with hail, lightning, and tornadoes. For the tribes who call this land home, the Lakota, the Cheyenne, the Pawnee, and many others, the sky wasn't just empty space. It was a dynamic, living entity, a place of immense power where spirits dwell. And the most powerful of all was the Thunderbird. When that gigantic shadow swept across the plains, it was never ignored. It was an omen, a direct communication from the spirit world. But what it signified often depended on the context and the specific beliefs of the tribe witnessing it. For some, the shadow was a terrifying harbinger of destruction. It meant a powerful storm was on its way. The Thunderbird was seen as the bringer of these tempests. The flapping of its colossal wings was said to create the sound of thunder, and the flashing of its eyes was the lightning that split the sky. When its shadow appeared, it was a warning to seek shelter immediately, for the wrath of the sky was about to be unleashed. But the Thunderbird wasn't always a figure of terror. For other tribes, and even within the same tribes under different circumstances, its shadow was a sign of protection. The Thunderbird was a powerful guardian spirit, a warrior of the sky who fought against malevolent forces. Its main enemy was often the Octana, or other horned water serpents, creatures that represented the dangers of the underworld and the chaotic forces of the earth. So, when the Thunderbird's shadow passed overhead, it could mean that this great protector was on patrol, keeping the people safe from unseen dangers lurking below. It was a comforting sign, a reminder that a powerful ally was watching over them. This dual nature is key to understanding the Thunderbird. It embodies the duality of nature itself, especially on the plains. A thunderstorm can be destructive, wiping out camps and scattering buffalo herds. But it also brings the life-giving rain that replenishes the grasslands, fills the rivers, and allows life to flourish. The Thunderbird, in the same way, was both a creator and a destroyer, a force of nature to be respected and revered, but also feared. The cultural interpretations of these sky shadows are incredibly rich and varied. The shape of the shadow itself was significant. It wasn't just a blob. Oral histories passed down through generations describe it with incredible detail. Eyewitnesses spoke of a shadow shaped like a massive eagle or hawk, but many times larger than any known bird. Some accounts even mention details, like the shape of its hooked beak or the spread of its individual feather shadows as it soared. These weren't vague legends. They were treated as first-hand observations, passed down with the weight and seriousness of historical fact. Think about the psychology of living in such an open environment. On the plains, there's nowhere to hide. You are completely exposed to the elements. The sky is not just a backdrop, it's half of your world. This constant direct relationship with the sky made the people who lived there incredibly attuned to its changes. They were expert observers of cloud formations, wind patterns, and animal behavior. So when they sought something that defied all normal explanation, like a shadow larger than any buffalo herd, it had to be explained through a spiritual lens. It had to be the work of a being as grand and powerful as the landscape itself. The connection between the plains tribes and their sky spirits is one of the most profound aspects of their worldview. The sky was the home of Wikantonka, the great mystery or great spirit in Lakota tradition. It was the realm where powerful beings lived and from where blessings and challenges flowed. The eagle, the highest flying bird, was a sacred messenger, carrying prayers from the people up to the spirit world. The Thunderbird was like the ultimate form of that connection. A being so powerful it didn't just carry messages. It was a physical manifestation of the sky's power itself. The oral histories are filled with these eyewitness accounts. A respected elder might gather their children and tell a story not as a myth, but as something their great-grandfather saw with his own eyes. They would describe the day the sky grew dark, not from clouds, but from the wings of the Thunderbird. They might tell of how the bravest warriors would stand their ground, making offerings and singing praise to the great bird, hoping to gain its favor and be granted a vision or special power. These stories weren't just for entertainment. They were educational. They taught respect for nature, the importance of spiritual awareness, and the history of the people's sacred relationship with their environment. So why is the Thunderbird so intrinsically tied to these wide-open landscapes? It's a matter of scale. In a dense forest, you might catch a glimpse of the sky through the canopy. You might hear thunder, but you wouldn't see the full, terrifying majesty of the storm cell. You certainly wouldn't see a shadow sweeping 4 miles across the land. The Great Plains provide the perfect stage for a creature of the Thunderbird's magnitude. Its vastness demands an equally vast explanation for the powerful phenomena that occur there. A tiny spirit couldn't possibly be responsible for a tornado that can tear across the prairie. It requires a being of immense size and strength, a being like the Thunderbird. Furthermore, the Thunderbird story is a reflection of the people themselves. The Plains tribes were resilient, strong, and deeply connected to the natural world. They faced the harshness of the environment head-on, just as the Thunderbird faced the chaotic water serpents The bird represented the warrior spirit, the protective instinct, and the deep, unshakable faith that even in the face of nature's most terrifying displays, there were powerful forces working to maintain balance and protect life. Even today, the legend of the Thunderbird endures. People still report seeing massive, unidentifiable birds and unexplained shadows in the skies over the American Midwest. While we might now have scientific explanations for the supercell thunderstorms that inspired these stories, the power of the legend hasn't diminished. It speaks to a fundamental human need to find meaning in the world around us, to personify the great forces of nature, and to feel a connection to something larger than ourselves. The shadow of the Thunderbird was more than just a darkness on the land. It was a message, a warning, and a promise. It was the sky itself reaching down to touch the earth, reminding the people of the Great Plains of the awesome power that surrounded them and the sacred duty they had to live in harmony with it. The next time you find yourself under a wide open sky, as clouds gather on the horizon, take a moment. Listen for the distant rumble of thunder, and maybe, just maybe, you'll feel the fleeting presence of that great winged guardian still watching over the plains. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the heart of a powerful legend. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the myths and mysteries of our world. See you next time.